Hi everyone, how are you? Hope all are doing fine. Okay, so welcome to the beautiful channel Master, and we are doing the journey with the most beautiful subject EMTL. Yes or no? Okay, so today we are going to start a new topic that is nothing but Smith chart. That is nothing but Smith chart. Okay, so today we are going to start a new topic that is nothing but Smith chart. See, up till now we have seen how to determine the reflection coefficient of the transmission line, and also we have seen how to determine the input impedance on the transmission line, and also we have seen how to determine the locations of V maxima and V minima, and also we have seen how to determine voltage standing wave ratio. Okay, so what we have done is we have derived the formula for all these parameters, and by using that formula we try to solve different types of transmission line problems. Okay, so solving the transmission line problems or analyzing the transmission line problems through this mathematical formula is called as analytical method. Is called as what here? Analytical method. So that means up till now we have followed the analytical method. Okay, so there is another way to analyze the transmission lines. That is nothing but graphical method. Okay, so we can analyze the transmission line through graphical approach also. Sir, we have already learned this analytical method. Then what is the need to go for graphical method? See, the answer is while doing this analytical method, sometimes the problems may involve very much complex mathematical calculations, and hence solving the problem will become a tedious task. So in that case, we can go for graphical method. So the advantage of graphical method is here there is no need to use this mathematical formula and all. Okay, so that is the biggest advantage. So with very simple mathematical calculations, we can analyze the transmission lines in this graphical method. Understood? Okay, so that is the biggest advantage of this graphical method. So today we are going to study about this graphical method. Okay, so in order to analyze the transmission lines through graphical approach, we need a graph sheet or chart. That chart is nothing but Smith chart. Okay, so what is the purpose of Smith chart here? By using the Smith chart, we can analyze the transmission lines through graphical approach. That is the purpose of Smith chart. Okay, so now we can use the Smith chart here. We can use the Smith chart either as impedance Smith chart. We can use it as impedance Smith chart, or you can use it as what? Or you can use it as admittance Smith chart. So this is Smith chart. You can use it as either impedance Smith chart, or you can use it as what here? Admittance Smith chart. Okay. So first we try to analyze this impedance Smith chart. So whatever the analysis we will do in this impedance Smith chart, the same analysis will be equivalently valid for admittance Smith chart also, but with some slight difference. So what is the difference and all we are going to see later. Okay, so if you understand the impedance Smith chart clearly, then it is not going to be that much difficult to understand the admittance Smith chart. Okay, so first we will start with impedance Smith chart. Understood? Okay. Okay. See here, the name itself is saying impedance Smith chart. The name itself is saying impedance Smith chart. So that means on this Smith chart you are going to see only the impedances. On this Smith chart you are going to see what here? You are going to see only impedances. You are not going to see the values of voltages and currents on this Smith chart. And hence it is not possible to determine the absolute values of voltages and currents by using this Smith chart. But what you can determine here? You can determine the reflection coefficient, and you can determine the input impedance, and you can determine voltage standing wave ratio, and also you can determine the locations of V maxima and V minima. But you cannot determine the absolute values of voltages and currents by using this Smith chart. Okay, so keep this point in mind. Okay, so now throughout this topic here, whatever the impedances or admittances we are talking, all those impedances or admittances by default they mean normalized impedance and normalized admittance. Okay, so throughout this Smith chart topic, we are going to deal with only normalized impedances and normalized admittances. Okay, so whether I will mention it as normalized impedance or not, by default you have to understand that it is normalized impedance. Okay, so here also I have written simply impedance Smith chart, but you have to understand that it is normalized impedance. So throughout this topic, we are going to deal with only normalized impedances and normalized admittances. Understood? So keep this point in mind. Okay, fine. Let's start developing this Smith chart. Okay, so now first let's say I am having a transmission line. So this is the transmission line. So now I am terminating this transmission line. With some load impedance ZL. I am terminating this transmission line with some load impedance ZL. So in general, ZL is a complex quantity. So I can write it is going to have real part and imaginary part, that is R plus Jx, let's say. Okay, but what I have told here, we are going to deal with whatever the impedance we are going to talk about, that impedance must be what? Normalized impedance. Okay, so how we can get the normalized impedance here? Any impedance that is measured with respect to characteristic impedance or normalized with respect to characteristic impedance is called as normalized impedance. Okay, so in order to get the normalized load impedance, what we have to do here, we have to measure this ZL with respect to Z0, or we have to normalize this ZL with respect to Z0. So that means we have to divide with Z0 on both sides. So divide with Z0 on both sides. Okay, if you are dividing with Z0 on LHS, on RHS side also you have to divide with Z0. Yes or no? Now this ZL by Z0, I am representing with ZL bar. Okay, so ZL bar represents what here? Normalized load impedance. So this is equivalent to this R by Z0 represents what here? Normalized resistance. So this normalized resistance I am representing with small r. Okay, next Z into this X by Z0 is nothing but what here? Normalized reactance. So I am representing this normalized reactance with small x. Okay, so this normalized load impedance, this normalized load impedance is equal to what? R plus Jx. So I am writing all this here. So here I am writing, you have to consider only normalized impedances. So normalized load impedance is equal to what? R plus Jx. Small r represents normalized resistance, small x represents normalized reactance. Okay, so now whatever the load impedances here, that we are going to connect here, all those load impedances we are going to consider only what? We are going to consider only passive loads. So whatever the load impedances that we are going to connect here, all of them are nothing but what here? Passive loads only. So throughout our subject, we are going to deal with only passive loads. We are not going to deal with active loads. So what is the difference between passive loads and active loads here? What is the difference between passive loads and active loads? See, passive load means the resistance value must be positive. That means its value must be greater than or equal to 0. Active loads means resistance value will become negative. Okay, so we are not going to deal with that active loads at all. Okay, we are going to consider only passive loads. So for passive loads, this R value can take all the positive values. Yes or no? R must be greater than or equal to 0. And hence its range is from 0 to what? 0 to infinity. Its range is from 0 to infinity. Yes or no? Okay. Next, this is nothing but what your imaginary part, that is nothing but reactance. See, this reactance can take both positive values as well as what your negative values. It can take both positive values as well as negative values, and hence the range of x is from where to where here? Minus infinity to plus infinity. Minus infinity to plus infinity. So the negative values of the reactance, represents what your capacitive nature, and the positive values of reactance will represent what your inductive nature, and its range is from minus infinity to plus infinity. So you can connect any value of load impedance here. You can connect any value of load impedance such that its resistance value can vary from 0 to infinity, and its and its reactance value can vary from minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay, so that means how many loads are possible here? How many loads are possible? R value can vary from 0 to infinity, and x can take any value between minus infinity to plus infinity, such that how many loads are possible? How many loads we can form here? We can get infinite number of possible loads or not? Yes or no? You can have infinite number of loads. Understood? So now, so you can have infinite number of loads. By varying R and X, you can vary the value of load impedance. So like that, you can have infinite number of load impedances are possible. Okay. So now I want to represent all these possible values of load impedances. All these possible values of load impedances onto a plane. Okay, so we are going to develop a plane. Which is called as impedance plane. Which is called as what here? Impedance plane. Impedance means what here? Normalized impedance. Remember that. Okay, impedance plane, or you can simply say Z plane. Okay, so we try to represent all the possible values of load impedances onto this impedance plane. Okay, so how we can form this impedance plane here? We can form this impedance plane by considering this horizontal axis. As resistance, and on this vertical axis, we will consider as imaginary axis. That means we consider reactance values on this imaginary axis. Okay, so this will form the impedance plane, or we can say simply Z plane. Okay, so on this impedance plane, we want to represent all the possible values of load impedances. How many load impedances can be possible here? You can have infinite number of load impedances. All those infinite number of load impedances we want to represent on this impedance plane. Okay, so here R value will vary from where to where here? From 0 to infinity, and this X value will vary from where to where? Minus infinity to plus infinity. So all the possible values of load impedances will be present only to the right of what? Only to the right of this imaginary axis. Only to the right of this imaginary axis. No impedance will be present to the left of this imaginary axis, because to the left of this imaginary axis, the resistance value will become negative, and the load that is present in this region to the left of imaginary axis represents active loads. But we are not going to deal with active loads. We are going to deal with only passive loads. Okay, so all the passive loads will be present to the right of this imaginary axis, including this imaginary axis. Okay, so this total semi-infinite plane that is present to the right of imaginary axis will represent what here? Will represent all the possible passive loads. We can represent all the possible passive loads within this semi-infinite plane. Okay, but there is a disadvantage. Of this impedance plane here. There is a disadvantage of this impedance plane. So what is that disadvantage means? See, if we want to represent this impedance plane, on a graph sheet, and if we want to represent all the possible infinite number of load impedances onto that graph sheet. Okay, understand this here, understand this. I am repeating this again. Okay, if we want to represent this impedance plane on a graph sheet, and also we want to represent all the possible infinite number of load impedances onto this graph sheet, then what is the size of the graph sheet we need here? What is the size of the graph sheet we need in order to represent all the possible infinite number of loads? What is the size of the graph sheet you need? You need the size of the graph. What is the size of the graph sheet you need? You need an infinite sized graph sheet. Yes, sir? You need a graph sheet of infinite size. Practically, it is not possible. Practically, it is not possible. Yes, sir? So that is the biggest disadvantage of this impedance plane. Because if you want to represent all the impedances on this plane, it needs this total semi-infinite plane, including this imaginary axis. So whenever we try to represent this impedance plane on a graph sheet, then in order to represent all the infinite number of load impedances, we need the size of the graph sheet as infinite. We need an infinite sized graph sheet, which is practically impossible. Okay, so that's why we try to develop. That's why we try to develop another plane here. That's why we try to develop another plane where we can able to represent all the possible load impedances within a finite region. Within a finite region. Okay, and that plane we call it as what here? Gamma plane. That plane is nothing but gamma plane or reflection coefficient plane. Okay, so in order to overcome the disadvantage in impedance plane, we will go for what here? We will go for reflection coefficient plane. So we call this as gamma plane, or we will go for gamma plane or reflection coefficient plane. Reflection coefficient plane. Okay. Reflection coefficient plane. So we know that in general gamma is a complex quantity. We know that in general gamma is a complex quantity. So the reflection coefficient at load, can be represented as gamma L. So in general it is a complex quantity. So I am representing that complex quantity with U plus JV. U plus JV. This is U plus JV. Okay, so U represents the real part of gamma L, V represents the imaginary part of gamma L. So now here I am considering this horizontal axis as U axis and this vertical axis as imaginary axis, that is JV axis. Okay, and this forms which plane here? Gamma plane or reflection coefficient plane. Okay, why we have moved to this plane here? Because we can represent all the possible values of load impedances within a finite region in this gamma plane. Okay, how we can do that we will see within few minutes. Okay, so now see here. Now we know the relation between the reflection coefficient at load and the normalized load impedance, that is gamma L is equal to ZL bar minus 1 by ZL bar plus 1, where ZL bar is equal to ZL by Z0. Okay. So from this relation, what we can say here? For each and every value of load impedance, we can get its corresponding reflection coefficient value. As the load impedance value varies, this reflection coefficient value is also going to vary. That means for each and every value of load impedance, we can get its corresponding value of reflection coefficient. Okay, so how many load impedances are possible here? How many load impedances are possible here? We can have infinite number of load impedances. Yes or no? We can have infinite number of load impedances. That means how many reflection coefficients we can get here? We will get infinite number of reflection coefficients. Yes or no? For each and every value of ZL, we will get its corresponding gamma L. Since ZL is having infinite number of values, this reflection coefficient is also going to have infinite number of values. But in order to represent all this infinite number of load impedances onto this impedance plane, we need the total semi-infinite plane. Okay, whereas if we want to represent this reflection coefficient, on this gamma plane, then what is the range? We need? See, we know that gamma L can lie between what here? Gamma L will lie between what? Will lie between -1 to +1. We know that gamma L value will always lies between -1 to +1. So that means we will get all the infinite number of reflection coefficient values within the range what? Within the range of -1 to +1. Yes or no? So all this infinite number of reflection coefficients can be fit within this finite region. Yes or no? Okay. Next we are going to see that we can represent all the infinite number of possible load impedances in gamma plane within a unit circle. So this radius is what here? This radius is 1. So this circle is called as what? This circle is called as unit circle. So we are going to see within few minutes that all this infinite number of possible load impedances can also be represented on this gamma plane, or I can say all this infinite number of possible load impedances can be mapped onto this gamma plane within a unit circle. Understood? So if we want to represent this all possible infinite number of load impedances in this plane, we need the semi-infinite plane. Whereas if you consider the gamma plane, you can map all the infinite number of load impedances within a unit circle. That means you can represent within a finite region. Understood? Okay. So that is the biggest advantage. Of this gamma plane when compared to impedance plane. So next, for the next few minutes, we are going to see some mathematical calculations. That is regarding how to map this all possible load impedances onto gamma plane. Okay. So So next we will see how we can map all these possible values of load impedances onto this gamma plane within a unit circle. That's what we are going to see. Okay. Fine. Okay. Okay. So here we know that gamma L is equal to ZL bar minus 1 by ZL bar plus 1, where ZL bar is equal to what? Small r plus jx. Small r represents normalized resistance, small x represents normalized reactance. Okay, and gamma L is equal to what here? U plus Zp. We have represented gamma L with U plus Zp. Okay. See, from this expression I can represent ZL bar is equal to 1 plus gamma L by 1 minus gamma L. Can I write like this here? It is simple mathematical calculation here. Send the ZL plus 1 to this side, so you will get gamma L into ZL bar plus 1 is equal to ZL bar minus 1. Now take all ZL bar on one side. Okay, then you will get the expression for ZL. Then you can get the expression for ZL bar. Take all ZL bar terms on one side, then you will get the expression for ZL bar. That is ZL bar equal to 1 plus gamma L by 1 minus gamma L. Understood? Okay. You can do this here. It is very simple. Okay, fine. See, in general, the students will confuse this relation with voltage standing wave ratio formula. So that is, for voltage standing wave ratio, what is the formula we will write here? 1 plus magnitude of gamma L divided by what? 1 minus magnitude of gamma L. So in general, students will confuse between this expression and this expression. Okay, see here, this is different. This expression is different from this expression. See here, Here we are considering only the magnitude of what? Only the magnitude of reflection coefficient. We are considering only the magnitude of reflection coefficient. And hence this magnitude of gamma L is a real quantity, and hence we are going to get the voltage standing wave ratio as a real quantity. But whereas here this gamma L in general can be a complex quantity. In general it is a complex quantity, and hence we are going to get here ZL bar as a complex quantity. Understood? Okay. So these two expressions are quite different. Understood? Okay. Don't confuse between these two. But we can ask a question. Like, is there any condition where this expression and this expression will become same? Is there any condition such that this expression and this expression will become same? Yes, we can do that. Okay. If suppose let us say, if suppose gamma L is greater than if suppose let us say gamma L is greater than or equal to 0, or no, not greater than or equal to 0, I can say like this: if gamma L is real and positive, if gamma L is real and positive, if gamma L is real and positive, then this expression and this expression both will become same. Yes sir? Okay. See, for example, if I consider gamma L is equal to 0.5, then in that case ZL bar is equal to what here? 1 plus 0.5 divided by what? 1 minus 0.5. Whereas VSWR is equal to what? VSWR is equal to 1 plus magnitude of 0.5, that is 0.5, divided by 1 minus magnitude of 0.5, that is 1 minus 0.5. So this expression and this expression both are same or not? Okay. Under what condition these two will become same here? Whenever gamma L is real and positive. Next we will see if gamma L is negative here. If gamma L is real and negative, then what happens we will see. Okay. See, now let's consider gamma L is equal to minus 0.5. Let's consider gamma L is equal to minus 0.5. So now in that case, what is ZL bar we will get here? What is ZL bar we will get? We will get ZL bar is equal to 1 plus of minus 0.5. 1 plus of minus 0.5, that is 1 minus 0.5 divided by here 1 minus of minus 0.5, that is 1 plus 0.5. This is the expression we get for ZL bar. Whereas for VSWR, what we will get here? So you have to consider only magnitude. Yes or no? So 1 plus magnitude of minus 0.5 is 0.5 divided by 1 minus magnitude of minus 0.5 is 0.5. So you will get 1 plus 0.5 divided by 1 minus 0.5. Understood? So if you observe the expression for ZL bar and the expression for VSWR in this case, here you are getting 1 minus 0.5 in the numerator, here you are getting 1 minus 0.5 in the denominator, and here 1 plus 0.5 in the denominator, and here 1 plus 0.5 in the numerator. So what is the relation between ZL bar and VSWR in this case here? We can write ZL bar is equal to what? Is equal to 1 by VSWR. 1 by VSWR. Yes sir? Okay. And here in this case, whenever gamma L is real and positive, in this case you can write simply ZL bar is same as what? VSWR. You are going to get the same expressions for ZL bar and VSWR. Understood? If it is real and negative, then you are going to get 1 by VSWR. If gamma L is complex, then this expression and this expression will be completely different. Understood? Okay. So keep all these points in mind. Understood? Okay. I hope it is clear. Okay. Okay. So now what is our aim here? We are trying to map all the possible values of load impedances onto a gamma plane, and we are going to prove that all these impedances can be fit within a unit circle in gamma plane. Understood? Okay. Okay. So here ZL bar, I can write this ZL bar as R plus JX. ZL bar is equal to R plus JX, which is equal to 1 plus gamma L. So that is 1 plus U plus JV. 1 plus U plus JV. And here I can write 1 minus of U plus JV. That is 1 minus U minus JV. 1 minus U minus JV. So in the numerator also I can write this as 1 plus U plus JV. In place of gamma L, I have substituted U plus JV. That's it. Okay. So now, here this is a complex quantity. Now we'll try to separate the real part and imaginary part. We'll try to separate real part and imaginary part. Then we will equate the real part on both sides and imaginary part on both sides and see what we are going to get. Okay. So I am multiplying here with 1 minus U plus JV and dividing with 1 minus U plus JV. Okay, so if you do this, what you are going to get here in the numerator, 1 plus U into 1 minus U, that is 1 minus U square. Okay, next I am multiplying this JV with JV. What you are going to get here? Minus V square. Yes or no? Next I am multiplying this 1 plus U with JV. Then what you are going to get here? J into V into 1 plus U. That is, okay, V into 1 plus U. Okay, next multiply this JV with 1 minus U. Multiply this JV with 1 minus U. So then what you are going to get here? Tell me. Plus J into V into 1 minus U. Understood? So here you will get, I can take J common in both the terms. I can take J common. Okay, so I can write like this, J common. Now here you will get V plus VU. Here you will get V minus VU. So here plus VU, here minus VU will get cancelled. So you are going to get 2V. You are going to get 2V. So here I am writing this imaginary part we got as 2V. Okay, and in the denominator, what you will get here? In the denominator, what we will get? 1 minus U whole square plus V square. 1 minus U whole square plus V square. So now I can write the real part separately and imaginary part separately. So that is plus J2V by 1 minus U whole square plus V square. Understood? So this is R plus JX. Okay, so now what we will do is we will compare the real parts on both sides, and then after that we will compare the imaginary part on both sides. So what is the real part here? Real part, R is equal to what? 1 minus U square minus V square divided by 1 minus U whole square plus V square. And X value, X is equal to what? X is equal to 2V divided by what? 1 minus U whole square plus V square. Understood? So these are the values of R and X. Okay. So now first we will consider the real part. First we will consider the real part and do some mathematical simplifications and see what we are going to get the final result. Okay, I am considering this here. I am considering this expression. So R is equal to what? R is equal to 1 minus U square minus V square by 1 minus U whole square plus V square. So I am sending this denominator term to this side. Okay, then what you are going to get here? What you are going to get? Tell me. R into 1 minus U whole square. Expand this here. 1 minus U whole square. What you are going to get? 1 plus U square minus 2U plus V square. So I have sent this term to this side and expanded 1 minus U whole square. That's it. Okay, so this is equal to 1 minus u square minus v square. Okay, so now so now I am taking all these terms here. I am taking all these terms to the left hand side. Then I can write this as what here? I can write this as plus u square plus v square minus 1 is equal to 0. Okay, so this is the expression we got. Now here we can take u square common. So if you take u square common, you are going to get what? You will get r plus 1. Next, next here I can take v square common. Okay, I can take v square common. So that is plus v square into r plus 1. Next, what is left out here? Minus 2u r and then minus 2u r and then plus r minus 1 is equal to 0. Okay, now I am going to divide on both sides with r plus 1. So if I divide on both sides with r plus 1, what you will get here? U square plus v square minus 2u into r by r plus 1 plus r minus 1 by r plus 1 is equal to 0. Okay, so now here I can write this as u square minus 2u into r by r plus 1. Okay, now here I am adding r by r plus 1 whole square. Why I am adding r by r plus 1 whole square here? So that this will be just like what? U square minus 2u into r by r plus 1 plus r by r plus 1 whole square. So it is just same as a square minus 2ab plus b square. Okay, so in order to get that form, I have added r by r plus 1 whole square. Then what you have to do? You have to subtract r by r plus 1 whole square. So that we can do. So plus v square plus r minus 1 by r plus 1. So you have to subtract what? You have to subtract r by r plus 1 whole square. So this is equal to 0. Understood? Okay. So this you can write it as what here? This total term you can write it as u minus r by r plus 1 whole square. U minus r by r plus 1 whole square plus v square plus v square. So here if you simplify this okay, in the denominator what you will get here? R plus 1 whole square. So here you will get r plus 1 into r minus 1, that is r square minus 1, and here you will get minus r into r plus 1. So sorry, you will get simply minus r square here. Okay. Sorry, the LCM is r plus 1 whole square. So you have to send r plus 1 to this side. So r square minus 1 and here minus r square. You can do this simplification here. You will get minus 1 by r plus 1 whole square. Okay. So if I send this minus 1 by r plus 1 whole square to the right hand side, so then we will get 1 by r plus 1 whole square. 1 by r plus 1 whole square. Okay. So 1 by r plus 1 whole square. Now if you observe this equation here, how it is looking like here? It is just like, see this plus v square, I can write this as v minus 0 whole square. Yes or no? Okay, so it is just like x minus a whole square plus y minus b whole square is equal to c square. Yes or no? So that means this equation represents what here? Represents the equation of a circle. Whose center is what here? Center is r by r plus 1 comma 0 and radius is what? 1 by r plus 1. Understood? So finally this equation u and v are variables and this r value is constant but you can change that constants. Yes or no? Okay, so you can take r equal to 1, you can take r equal to 0.5, you can take r equal to 2. R value can vary from where to where? 0 to infinity. So for each and every value of r, for each and every resistance value, you are going to get one circle equation. One circle equation. On that particular circle, this resistance value is going to be constant, and hence we call this as constant resistance circle equation. Okay, so now we will see the nature or the characteristics of these constant resistance circles. Okay, so now here I am going to draw, we are going to form a table here. We are going to form a table. Okay, so here I am going to consider the resistance. So we are going to form column for resistance, and then for center, and then radius. Okay, so resistance is nothing but small r. This is normalized resistance. And what is the center of the circle here? Center is nothing but r by r plus 1 comma 0. R by r plus 1 comma 0. And radius is how much here? 1 by r plus 1. Okay, so now, so these are the three columns we have formed. Okay, so now we will see for each and every value of resistance what is the center and what is the radius. Then we try to draw that circle on the gamma plane. Okay, and see how that circles will look like. Okay. Okay, fine. Okay. So now here we are forming gamma plane. So this is u axis and this is z v axis. Okay, this is gamma plane. This is which plane here? Gamma plane or reflection coefficient plane. Okay. Okay. See, so r value can vary from where to where here? We know the range of r, yes or no? It can vary from 0 to what? 0 to infinity. Okay, it can vary from 0 to infinity. It can take all the positive values. So 0 to infinity. Okay. Okay, fine. So let us take r is equal to 0. If I consider r is equal to 0, then the center will become what here? Put r equal to 0 here. What you are going to get? 0 comma 0. Then what is the radius here? Put r equal to 0 here. What is the radius you are going to get? You are going to get 1. See, if you observe the center, this is nothing but what? This is nothing but u coordinate, and this is nothing but what? V coordinate. Understood? See, if you observe, the v coordinate will be always what? Will be always 0. It is not depending upon r, yes or no? It is always 0. But u coordinate is depending upon r, and hence as r value changes, this u coordinate is going to change. Understood? So that means all the centers we are going to get only on the u axis, because only u coordinate is going to change. V coordinate will remain same as 0. So that means all the centers we are going to get on this u axis. That is the first observation we can make. And one more thing, here if I subtract this u coordinate, from 1, that is 1 minus r by r plus 1. If I do 1 minus r by r plus 1, r by r plus 1 is nothing but what? U coordinate. If I subtract the u coordinate from 1, what you are going to get here? You are going to get 1 by r plus 1. That is nothing but what? Radius. Okay, so there is no need to substitute the r value every time in the radius. If you know the u coordinate, then you can get the corresponding radius. Yes or no? What you have to do? You have to subtract the u coordinate from 1. That's it. Then you are going to get the radius. Okay, so like that we try to determine the center and radius for each and every circle. So this is one circle. Next, let us consider r is equal to 0.5. Or you consider r is equal to 1 by 2. You can take it as 1 by 2 or 0.5. So 1 by 2 means, what is the center here? What is the center? Substitute here 1 by 2. and in the denominator also substitute 1 by 2. What you are going to get? In the numerator 1 by 2, in the denominator 1 by 2 plus 1, that is 3 by 2. So 2 will get cancelled, you will get 1 by 3. So 1 by 3. Now what is the radius here? 1 minus 1 by 3, that is 2 by 3. So we can directly write this one. Next, let us consider r is equal to 1. R is equal to 1. If you put r equal to 1, what is the center you are going to get? 1 by 1 plus 1, that is 1 by 2 comma 0. Now in this case, what is the radius you are going to get here? 1 minus 1 by 2, that is 1 by 2. So this is the radius. So next you can take 2, r equal to 2, r equal to 2. So for r equal to 2, what you are going to get? You are going to get 2 by 3 comma 0. And what is the radius? 1 minus 2 by 3, that is 1 by 3. So like that, you can vary this r value. Like that, you can vary this r value up to what? Up to maximum r value is infinity. Yes or no? So you can go up to what? You can go up to infinite. You can go up to infinite. So if you go up to infinite, at infinity, what is the center here? What is the center? So here, take r common in the numerator and denominator here. So center you are having r by r plus 1. So take r common in the denominator, you will get 1 plus 1 by r will get cancelled. So I can write this as 1 by 1 plus 1 by r. Now put r equal to infinity. If you put r equal to infinity here, 1 by infinity will become 0. So its value will become what here? Its value will become, okay, 1 by infinity is equal to 0 here. So here you will get 1 by 1. That is 1 comma 0. That is 1 comma 0. And what is the radius here? 1 minus 1. That is 0. The radius will become 0. Okay, so that means we have substituted all the possible values of resistances. Yes or no? We have substituted all the possible values of resistances. For each and every resistance value, we got one circle with center and radius. For r equal to this is called as what? R equal to 0 circle. Its center is 0 comma 0 and radius is 1. And this is r equal to 1 by 2 circle whose center is 1 by 3 comma 0 and its radius is 2 by 3 and so on. Okay, now we try to draw this circles on this gamma plane. So first we try to draw r equal to 0 circle. R equal to 0 circle. Its center is what here? Its center is 0 comma 0. Its center is 0 comma 0 and its radius is what? And its radius is 1. Yes or no? Okay, so this is the center 0 comma 0 and radius is what here? Radius is 1. Okay, so you are going to get a unit circle like this. Okay, so you are going to get a unit circle like this. So if it is not looking like a circle, then also you just assume this as a circle. Okay, okay. I'll try to draw. Okay, yeah. Okay, fine, no problem. Okay, so this radius is how much here? This radius is 1. Its radius is 1. And this circle, since its radius is 1, we call this circle as what here? Unit circle. Okay, so what is the resistance value here? What is the resistance value on this circle here? R is equal to what? This is R is equal to 0 circle. R is equal to 0 circle whose center is 0 comma 0 and radius is what? Radius is 1. Understood or not? Okay, so this represents, since on this circle, wherever you will go here, wherever you will go on this circle, R is going to be constant. So these circles is also called as what? Constant resistance circles. These circles are also called as what here? Constant resistance circles. So here on this graph, we are representing constant resistance circles. Constant resistance circles. Okay, so this is R equal to 0 circle. Okay, as you move on this circle, U and V are varying, but R is constant. R means resistance. Resistance is constant. Okay. Okay, so this is R equal to 0 circle. Next, if you consider R is equal to 1 by 2, if you consider R is equal to 1 by 2 circle, then its center will be what here? 1 by 3 comma 0 and its radius will be 2 by 3. So, okay, so its center is 1 by 3 comma 0. Its center is 1 by 3 comma 0. Its center is 1 by 3 comma 0, and radius is what here? 2 by 3. Radius is 2 by 3. So the distance from this point to from here to here is how much here? This point is nothing but what? This is an unit circle, na? This is an unit circle with center 0 comma 0. So this point will be 1 comma 0, and this point will be minus 1 comma 0, and this point will be 0 comma 1, and this point will be what? 0 comma minus 1. Okay, 0 comma minus 1. Okay, so this is 1 by 3 comma 0, and this radius is how much here? 2 by 3. From here to here, 2 by 3. So with this radius here, 1 by 3 comma 0 as center and 2 by 3 as radius. From here to here it is 2 by 3. Okay, so with this radius you have to form a circle. So you are going to get the circle like this. Okay, so you are going to get the circle like this. So this circle is nothing but what here? R is equal to 0.5, R 1 by 2, R equal to 0.5 circle. Okay, so now in that manner we can draw another circle also. So take R equal to 1 circle here, R equal to 1 circle. Its center is what here? 1 by 2 comma 0, and its radius is 1 by 2. So the center of R equal to 1 circle is 1 by 2 comma 0. 1 by 2 comma 0 means somewhere here. Okay, so the radius it is 1 by 2. So the distance from 1 by 2 comma 0 to 1 comma 0 is how much here? 1 by 2. And from here to here also, from 1 by 2 comma 0 to 0 comma 0, from here to here also it is 1 by 2. Okay, so with this 1 by 2 radius we have to form a circle. So this circle will pass through this origin here. The center is what here? 1 by 2 comma 0. So the distance from here to here is 1 by 2. The distance from here to here is also 1 by 2. So with this radius you have to form a circle. So this circle is nothing but what? R equal to 1 circle. Okay. Next, if you take R equal to 2, the center will become what here? 2 by 3 comma 0, and the radius is 1 by 3. Okay, so 2 by 3 comma 0, somewhere here 2 by 3 comma 0, and the distance from here to here 2 by 3 comma 0 to 1 comma 0 is how much here? 1 by 3. So with this 1 by 3 as radius, we have to draw another circle. So this circle represents R equal to 2 circle. So that means on this circle the resistance value will be equal to 2. So like that for R equal to 3 also you are going to get center and radius. Now if you observe as R varying from 0 to infinity, the center is moving from 0 comma 0 to 1 comma 0. As R varies from 0 to infinity, the center of the circles is moving from 0 comma 0 to 1 comma 0. So it started from 0 comma 0 and it starts moving towards what? Towards 1 comma 0. As R value increases, it starts moving from 0 comma 0 to 1 comma 0. Understood? So R equal to infinity here. At R equal to infinity, what is the center here? 1 comma 0. And what is the radius? 0. Radius is equal to 0 means it represents what? It represents a point circle. So this point here, exactly this point represents what? Represents R equal to infinity circle. So for R equal to infinity, the center will be 1 comma 0 with radius what? Okay, so that means we have represented all the possible values of resistances on this gamma plane, and if you observe, all these possible values of resistances will be present within this unit circle or not? Yes or no? Okay, so as R value goes on increases, the circle radius goes on decreases, and the center moves towards 1 comma 0. Understood? So this is how we can draw. Now we can expect some more circles like this. So you can draw another circle like this. and its value will be R equal to 0.75. Okay, so this is how the constant resistance will looks like on the gamma plane, Okay, so now we try to write the characteristics of this constant resistance circles. Okay, so we observe these constant resistance circles on this gamma plane. This is which plane here? This is gamma plane, and we try to write the characteristics or properties of these constant resistance circles. Okay, so we will write the characteristics of constant resistance circles. Try to write the characteristics of constant resistance circles. Okay. So first property. Now see here, as R value varies from 0 to infinity. Okay, as R varies from 0 to infinity here, the center will move from where to where here? When R equal to 0, the center will become 0, 0, and when R equal to infinity, the center will move to 1, 0. So as R varies from 0 to infinity, the center will shift from 0, 0 to 1, 0. Okay, and we have seen that this the u coordinate, only u coordinate is going to change. As R value varies, only u coordinate is going to change, but the v coordinate will remain as 0. So that means these centers, all the centers that we are going to get as R varies from 0 to infinity, all are going to present on the u axis only. Yes or no? Because only u coordinate is going to change, v coordinate will remain 0. Understood? And hence we are going to get all the centers of the constant resistance circles on this positive u axis only. Okay, and what happens to the radius here? As R varies from 0 to infinity, radius will vary from where to where? Radius will vary from when R equal to 0, radius will become 1. When R equal to infinity, the radius will go to 0. Okay, as R varies from 0 to infinity, the radius will vary from 1 to 0. Okay, so first point, as R varies, R means resistance here, as R varies from 0 to infinity, as R varies from 0 to infinity, centers of all the constant resistance circles shift from 0, 0 to 1, 0, shift from 0, 0 to 1, 0 along positive, this is positive u axis, along positive u axis. And what happens to the radius here? And radius will vary from 1 to what? From 1 to 0. The radius of the constant resistance circles will vary from 1 to 0, as the resistance value varies from 0 to infinity. Understood? Okay. Next, second point. Now, if you observe these constant resistance circles, see, as R varies from 0 to 1, R varies from 0 to 1. That means this resistance value is varying from 0 to 1. Here I am not including 1 here. Okay, up to 1. I am including 0, but I am not including 1. Okay, so within this range, if you observe the constant resistance circles, they are passing through what here? They are passing through, this is first quadrant, and this is second quadrant, third quadrant, and this is fourth quadrant. So these constant resistance circles are passing through what? First quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, and fourth quadrant. If the range of the resistance lying between 0 to 1, within this range, all the constant resistance circles are passing through first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, and fourth quadrant. Okay, now if suppose R value, if suppose resistance value is varying from 1 to infinity, if the resistance value is varying from where to where, 1 to infinity, I am not including infinity, I am including 1. Okay, so within this range, if you observe the resistance circles, so this is R equal to 1 circle, then as R goes on increases, this circle radius goes on decreases, and the center will shift towards 1, 0. Understood? So it is moving like this. Okay, so that means from R equal to 1 to R equal to infinity, all these constant resistance circles, are passing through what? Are passing through only first quadrant and fourth quadrant. Okay, so this is the observation we can make. So all the constant resistance circles, within the range of 0 to 1 are passing through 1, 2, 3 and 4 quadrants, are passing through 1, 2, 3 and 4 quadrants. Yes or no? Okay. Okay. Next. So next what you can write here, third point, all the constant resistance circles within the range of 1 to infinity are passing through what? Are passing through 1 and 4 quadrants. Yes or no? R equal to 1 to infinity, all are passing through 1 and 4 quadrants. 1 and 4 quadrants. This is 4 here. 1 and 4. Okay, 1 and 4 quadrants. Okay. Okay. Next, if you observe all these constant resistance circles, so what is the constant resistance circle that is having the bigger radius here? What is the biggest resistance circle? That is nothing but what? R equal to 0 circle or no? Okay, so R equal to 0 circle is nothing but the unit circle with center 0, 0 and radius is equal to 1, and it is the biggest resistance circle. Yes or no? It is the biggest resistance circle. Okay, so when compared to all the resistance circles, this resistance circle R equal to 0 circle is having the biggest radius. Okay, that is radius equal to 1. Okay, so next you can write R equal to 0 circle. R equal to 0 circle represents, R equal to 0 circle represents unit circle with center 0, 0 and radius equal to 1, and it is the biggest of all constant resistance circles. It is the biggest of all constant resistance circles. It is the biggest of all the constant resistance circles. Okay. Okay. So this is the fourth observation we can make. Next. Now, if you observe these constant resistance circles, how many constant resistance circles are passing through the point 0, 0 here, 0, 0, that is through origin? If you observe only this circle here, only this circle, is passing through what? Is passing through 0, 0. Yes or no? So this circle is nothing but what? This circle is nothing but r equal to 1 circle. R equal to 1 circle. So resistance equal to 1 circle is the only circle that is passing through what? That is passing through the origin. Remaining all the resistance circles are not passing through origin. Yes or no? Only this is the only circle that is passing through the origin. So you can write that point. Okay. So r equal to 1. R equal to 1 is the only constant resistance circle. Is the only constant resistance circle that is passing through what? That is passing through origin. That is passing through origin. So no. Okay. Next point. Next. So next you can see r equal to infinity circle. As r equal to infinity, the radius will become what? The radius will become 0, and hence r equal to infinity will represent what here? Will represent a point circle at a point 1, 0. Okay. So sixth point you can write r equal to infinity represents a point circle, represents a point circle at the point 1, 0. At the point 1, 0. Understood? Okay. So r equal to infinity represents a point circle at the point 1, 0. Okay, that is another property. Next, if you observe all these constant resistance circles are passing through this common point 1, 0 or not. See, all the constant resistance circles are passing through this common point, that is 1, 0. Okay, so here we can draw a common tangent. Yes or no? We can draw common tangent to all these constant resistance circles. So if you draw a line that is passing through 1, 0, that is passing through 1, 0 and parallel to imaginary axis, passing through 1, 0 and parallel to imaginary axis, will represent what here? Will represent common tangent. Yes or no? It is the tangent to all the constant resistance circles, and hence we are calling it as common tangent. Okay. So next point we can write as all the constant resistance circles. All the constant resistance circles are passing through what here? Are passing through a common point. Are passing through a common point 1, 0. Are passing through a common point 1, 0. And all these circles have a common tangent, that is passing through 1, 0 and parallel to imaginary axis. Okay, so these are the observations that we have made regarding the characteristics of the constant resistance circles. Okay, so you can note down all these points. Understood? So with this, up till now, up till here, what we have done is we have successfully mapped all the possible values of resistances onto this gamma plane. Okay, and also we can observe that all these possible values of resistances are mapped within a unit circle. Yes or no? This is the biggest resistance circle. Okay, all the resistance values will be mapped within this unit circle. Okay, so our our main intention, our main aim is to map all the possible values of load impedances onto this gamma plane, yes or no? So this is equal to what? This is equal to r plus jx. Now this range is from 0 to infinity. So we have successfully mapped all the possible values of resistances onto this gamma plane. Okay, next our task is to map all the possible values of reactances, onto this gamma plane. That is our next task. So after that we are going to superimpose, all the possible values of resistances and all the possible values of reactances that will form all the that will give all the possible values of load impedances. Okay, so that is our next task. Understood? So we are going to see how to map all the possible values of reactances onto this gamma plane in the next lecture. Understood? Okay, so until then, bye bye, see you, enjoy. Okay.